Hey there, guys, it's Kayla, and today we're going to be talking about aging out of foster care. What is aging out of the system? What does it mean? What do you do, and how can you help? I was one of many teenagers that were placed in group homes, mostly instead of, or one particular group home in Scarborough, instead of foster homes, because like I said in many other videos, I am type 1 diabetic, so I am hooked up to all sorts of devices full time, and at the time I was on needles, so I had to have people that watched me very closely. I was a teenager, I was having a hard time with it, so I basically I went to CAS Care, and CAS, for those of you who don't know, here in Ontario, it means Children's Aid Society. So I became a Crown Ward of the Children's Aid Society, meaning that legally I had no parents. Legally I was on my own, and when I hit 16, the foster care system would stop caring for me, and potentially I could be homeless. So that is a terrifying thing for a 16-year-old to go through, especially in today's day and age. I was lucky enough that I was still in school, so they put me in something called independent living, where they paid a portion of my living and a portion of my expenses, so that I could live independently on my own. Unfortunately, that didn't work out very well, so I was helped out quite a bit by therapists that really went the extra mile for me, and I got really lucky that I then was able to transfer. I actually at the time transferred onto disability because there were other medical issues going on at the time. And I was, trying to use the system to my advantage as much as I could, but unfortunately it is certainly not a perfect system. I remember foster homes that I was in that I loved. I remember one time I was in this foster home in Bobcaygeon. I thought the foster parents were great, and one day a worker would show up and they would bring you a black garbage bag. You would put all your stuff in it, and you were told that you were going somewhere. You got into a car, you never got to say goodbye to your friends, to your school, to your foster parents, who might have been just as upset as you because they didn't have control. A worker, sometimes a driver hired by them, would pick you up, and they would take you God only knows where. Sometimes it was a 3-hour trip, sometimes it was a 1-hour trip, sometimes it was a 15-minute trip. I moved to many, many different foster homes. Some were good, some were great, some were awful. I moved to a foster home in Pickering, and it was a rough neighborhood. That was after Scarborough. And I had a really rough time because when I was in Pickering, the foster mother was really cruel, and she ended up getting arrested because she had actually put cocaine under several of our beds. And when she was asked about it, she said it was ours, and we were like 14, I think, I don't know, 15 maybe. I'm not sure roughly how old we were. There's been a lot of homes, but she also was forging medical documents saying that the needles that I had cost a lot more, so she could get money, and she was asking me to help her do this. So she got caught for that and ended up being shut down as a foster home. So then once again you get moved. But aging out of the foster care system is very different, because when you age out of the foster care system, you have basically nothing. You have that garbage bag full of whatever clothes you've managed to get with the little allowance that they give you, and then you are expected to figure it out. So most people end up on disability. A lot of foster kids end up drinking, using substances to help cope and numb their pain, and just having really bad situations. Sometimes they have kids too young. Sometimes they want to get pregnant because they want to feel loved, because they've never felt that. Sometimes they go for men that are not the right type of men, because or women that are not the right type of women, because they just want someone to love them or take care of them. It depends on the person, but it's a really, really difficult experience to go through. It's scary, and a lot more needs to be done. I was fortunate enough to speak to many, probably hundreds at a time actually, of CAS workers, and let them know many years later after being out of foster care, what I needed as a kid to get through the system. So I did a public speaking event in Toronto where a bunch of a bunch of CAS workers were there, and I spoke to them. And one of the biggest things I said is, get rid of the garbage bag, have some compassion for these kids, talk to them like they're human beings, and show them who you are as a person. You got into this business hopefully because you have a really big heart, and as much as you can't let it go too far, there needs to be more than just the coldness of the system. So I did get a standing ovation for that. I hope the message was clear. I really hope it went further, that the hundreds of people that were listening possibly changed the way that they were doing their jobs, and I plan on continuing to do that through public speaking. But yeah, share your stories below. Have you aged out of the foster care system? Are you about to age out of the foster care system? What are your thoughts? Are you in Canada? Are you in the States? What's the difference? Remember, again, please, we are not here to be posting negative comments. This is a warm place where we try not to judge, and I just don't need the negative comments. If you have a comment about your own situation, that's great. If you want to comment or question me on mine, that's okay too. I'll try to answer as best I can. But again, this is a warm space. So share your stories, hit the like and subscribe button, and I will talk to you again soon.